Welcome to Dave Loves Everything. My name is Toby. This is my brother Dave. What is up, Shavy D?
How you doing, Toby?
Doing good. All right. So, breaking news as we're recording this, we've got white smoke. So, did you
Really?
hear about this before we started recording?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I
No, I
heard
saw.
about it.
As a matter,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I saw the black smoke the first day, and then maybe was there a second vote where there was black smoke? I don't know, but it was black smoke the last time I was aware of it.
No, we do have white. So, as we're recording, I think we're still waiting to hear something. But yeah, hopefully it's new Pope time. Hopefully it's not
Oh my goodness!
Pope Trump.
Oh, I'm gonna lose my lunch.
That really pissed off the Catholics, huh?
Uh, I did was not. Yeah, I don't even know. I saw that, and I just am so disgusted. I don't think you need to be a Catholic to be disgusted by that photo, but it's but I mean, you get, that's what you get when there's as many just ridiculously nasty photos of him as there are, then obviously then you get that, or you get the one from May the Fourth be with you. Did you see that one where
Oh yeah, that's right.
he's just a super jack Jedi, but with a red lightsaber?
No, the thing is,
So
like, I think we're all getting trolled a little. I think that there's a lot to that. I think he has people around him that, I mean, obviously know how to play to his ego, and they're gonna put up things that please the king and that kind of stuff. But
right.
I bet you there's people close enough to him that know Star Wars, that know like red lightsaber, that's going to get people talking shit.
Right,
Give
right,
them the red one.
right,
The nerds will go crazy.
right.
And
Yeah.
it kind of
Oh,
worked.
well, for sure. I mean, the own the libs thing is definitely an angle of every single thing that's, usually funneled through him and his associates, or even through people that are just, fans of his. And then also there's a certain, I think, probably genuine like appeal to a subset of those, because it's like just the bring down the establishment and the order part of the Sith that are, I mean, it's not just like when you know the lore of Star Wars a little bit, it's not like they were all Palpatines that wanted to rule and have an iron fisted sort of, I mean, some would have just been happy to burn down the Jedi and have chaos ensue. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a bit Star Wars heavy,
Well, I
but
mean, there's enough people drawing parallels to now and like 1930s Germany, and that's very problematic. But if we just compare it to Star Wars, that couldn't possibly offend anyone.
right. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure that we'll see, and ultimately, the um, it was actually a pretty good line in the I believe it was Attack of the Clones. I didn't find
The most C-SPAN of all the Star Wars movies.
Natalie Portman. I've been a fan of hers in a few things, but I'm very hot and cold on her. And I really didn't care for her at all as Amidala. But she had a great line. I didn't think delivered particularly well, but where she speaks of the fall of uh, the Republic would be to cheers, in the one like Senate scene or whatever, and
Yeah.
and there's some pretty heavy-handed stuff. I mean, one of uh, my favorite DC animated is the Superman Batman with Public Enemies, where Luthor becomes president. And like, that was maybe 2010,
Right.
2011. What's that? Uh,
Oh, go
Um,
ahead.
and if you go back and revisit that now, I mean, it's remarkably prescient. Like it's yeah, like uh there's one line in the beginning of that where it says something about Lex Luthor is trying to win the presidency the old-fashioned way by buying it, and then it says um, anyway, revisit it, but it's again, 10 plus years ago, and it's remarkable how I think you could almost have been flippant about it back then. The idea that Americans would want to kowtow and want to be ruled, even if it's by another American. Like I don't get the, I guess for lack of a better way to put it, fandom of the citizenry now. Like and make no mistake, the ways in which people spoke of Barack Obama were crazy and ridiculous, much like they do with Trump. The people that say those things now just are maybe a little crazier as people, but the hero worship and the ridiculous nature with which they view these people, these I guess in their mind avatars for what they need and want in this world. Like I mean, we've been spinning out of control for a long time, and so it's again, I overuse it probably, but just watching a slow train wreck, watching a
Mm.
slow just accident happen, and just not being able to stop it, or not knowing, maybe even when you touch one thing, it leaves something else to become even worse, or I don't even know. I don't even know how to verbalize it right now, but wild times.
Yeah, maybe these Photoshop, these making him look like Rambo or making him look like the Sith or whatever. This could be a compensation. It's like if I'm going to, you know, make myself lower than this king figure that I'm putting above us, at least he's got guns. They can't like envision cucking for this, disgusting old man who claims to be 220, you know. So
Right.
they got it in their minds, make him look like he's some kind of hero,
Well,
some kind of badass.
right. And again, if yes, if his weapon of influence wasn't, to just destroy other people, I might even have some sympathy for him. The way they, like, anybody that doesn't care for the guy will plaster that photo of him like chipping out of the rough, in the one shot with that big front, fluff, and the like.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't ever see those at the rally and so on and so forth. Like, so, like, yeah, it's so unrealistic that I don't get the benefit. I don't get the, like, again, kind of to come back full circle to how your original point. There has to be a giant component of own the libs to it at all times, because
Yeah.
there's no level of access. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's wild. But I do remember the angel, the photos of Barack as an angel and so on and so forth.
For
So
sure. Yeah. I mean, and
heroes.
that's the whole point. It's those are the dangerous ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
When we start lifting any of these people up to that level, making them not just the crazy people who make them heroes and saviors and Jedi or whatever they make them, but just to make just the cult of personality of it alone. I mean, like
Well,
these are the laughable versions of it, but I think there's a very dark side of that too. No pun intended. I really didn't mean that.
yeah,
But
no,
of people just really in a pro wrestling kind of way at some point made a decision that this was their guy,
yeah,
and regardless of what he does they're going to follow him. And I
right.
think that's a real thing that people don't want to admit to because it's embarrassing to admit to that. It should be, you should be ashamed of yourself, but I think that's what we're looking at.
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, it's so easy to. There's no when you don't have a link to reality, you don't have a link to personal responsibility. So it's all this whole framework that he's built of I just saw I watch uh some markets in the morning, before they open and stuff like that, some financial news, and somebody was talking about meeting with him recently, and they're like, the thing was and they weren't, I think they were European, so they weren't necessarily even pro or con about it. They were just like matter of factly stating the fact that it is, you know, people that support him like almost revel in the fact of uh, you need to, you have not taken him seriously, but you take him literally. And you need to take him seriously and not take him literally. Well, that's ridiculous. First of all, that's actually to me quite anti-American. Like the idea, this is a fucking, he is just another citizen of the United States of fucking America. He is not some special human being. That's what is the magic and the majesty of what the Constitution and what the founding fathers gave us. And this dude is using it at every turn to just personally enrich and become more powerful. It's disgusting and should be like, that's what people should be denouncing. But this sideshow that happens, that everything gets lost in the like ridiculousness of the play by play. And so again, kind of ultimately everything goes back to like owning the libs or whatever. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
you never get, you never get down to the push, excuse me. You never get down to the actual pushback of, I mean, during the rise of the Nazis in the 1930s, about a third of the United States wanted to side with them. Like there are, at any given time, there are huge swaths of even our country that are up for some pretty foul ideas or some pretty backward thinking. But like I've said before, I don't remember who to attribute the quote to, but I just love it. The idea of, you know, governance of the United States should be handled like doing surgery on your father, slowly and with great care. Like these giant, you know, changes or upheavals, or like the fact that the word of the person in the most powerful seat, again, he's not the most powerful man in the world. He is the man occupying the position of the most powerful position in the world. Like we don't, we're having the wrong argument, and yeah, it's really it's quite. I was reading this week Edmund Burke, and just the idea of like what conservatism is and what like MAGA is not. I mean, it is absolutely I'm not saying it's every single person that associates with it, but at its very core, there is a giant component of the line from Batman. I don't remember one of the Christopher Nolan ones, but where Alfred says some people just want to watch the world burn. These guys have a distinct playbook like that, but they're not just out for the chaos for chaos sake. They are looking to burn what we as a people and we as a nation have created, burn it down and take from the smoldering ashes. They're a parasitic group of pompous assholes that are up on their soapbox spewing bullshit and expecting everybody to just kind of fall in line because they've gamed the system so well in the last 40 years. And at the end of the fucking day, everything we're dealing with right now has been wrought by the fucking people in power that you're still dealing with. Like, you are not, like, the greatest difference right now to 20 years ago, like they're always talking about these great changes, is that they've somewhat eliminated the middleman. There was once business people or movers and shakers in society that would basically pay the politicians to work the machinations behind the scenes to make things happen. Now they just run for office because they've realized it's just at the end of the day a popularity contest. And now with Citizens United and all these different decisions that have taken every governor off any kind of dark money involvement, they just get themselves elected. Now they've eliminated, they don't have to pay anybody. They don't have to schmooze. They don't have to, they just now make the policies and make the decisions that enrich themselves. It's disgusting. Look up the worth, the net worth of the current senators. It's
Oh, dude, it's insane. I mean, with the insider trading and all of that, I mean, like now it's just like so obvious they're not even hardly even trying to hide it. But absolutely. I don't understand why more people aren't talking about the Trump coin.
Yes,
like that absolutely. They should be like CNN should be talking about that all day, every day, and just shining a light on the billions of dollars in wealth that has gone to the Trump family in a matter of months. That's complete. I mean, now I heard something like super recently, a big buy-in on that from the Saudis. It's that one's going to go down in history, and they're not shining enough of a light on it right now.
I mean, the Saudis dropped $2 trillion to Ivanka's husband. Like this whole
and it doesn't absolve anything that like Pelosi and all her. I mean, they've just done it at a different style. No. They've just done it in a more traditional way.
No, the great disservice that the Trumps are doing is not that they're hands in the cookie jar. It's that they're pulling it out, cookie in hand, and flipping the fucking bird to America. Like, no, absolutely. Again, this is what went wrong with fucking Israel. This is what went wrong with Saudi Arabia. This is what goes wrong all the fucking time is we go over there and we send our fucking businessmen. We send these fucking guys that don't know a thing about fucking governance or how the fucking greater world works. And it's about the fucking all-powerful dollar, and they give everything. We have Silicon Valley, fucking Tel Aviv. Like, Israel has the tech sector cornered in so many fucking areas. Fucking the infrastructure, the oil, the fucking things we did for Saudi Arabia. Now they're going to build like an indoor fucking snow skiing resort and shit like that. Like, they don't need us anymore, and they're not governed by any kind of, the same moral, not any kind of, but the same moral things that we try to vote on and try to be a we the people. They are not. They are, it's whether it's a very distinct technocratic ruling elite or it's actual fucking a monarchy. Like oh my goodness. Like,
so
they
what
don't
happens?
these
What is
countries
your
don't need us
prediction
anymore.
for? Okay, so we have this situation now where Trump basically is just doing what he wants. He's doing things that are, whether he acknowledges it or not, are completely against the Constitution. Things that have to be acts of Congress, deportations, all of the stuff we've been talking about. But like projecting this a year forward, what do you think's being done about any of this? Because you're right. He's basically hand out of the cookie jar, fuck you. That is basically his approach. So what is the response to that? Is it just suck it up until terms, or does anybody step up and take any action?
It would have to
They're
be a
so afraid of
private
it.
sector. I mean, the last thing we fucking need is like a Stephen A. fucking Smith or some fucking ridiculous fight
I can't believe I started seeing him on lists.
like media, like a little bit of media nuance with a little bit of media nuance. Like like Trump is nothing in the grand. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. But the point is, so much of that is just a creation, whoever those type of people are. So like, I don't want to hear that. There's nobody in current government at all that is worth their salt. I mean, again, my feelings about Bernie, the coward that he is when he had a chance to stand up to anything. None of the presidents are doing nothing. I mean, fuck, they're living the highlight. Like Barack Obama, his life isn't fucking affected by none of this shit. So like, he fucking cares? No. Then you got,
I know people keep saying
that are trying to save their fucking legacy, like fucking Kamala and fucking Biden come out this week with their bullshit fucking rambling stupidity. You basically, what's going to change is a genuine business person. What I would love to see is a person like it would be a great opportunity if he didn't come with the carnival baggage of his personality. Is that maybe
that's a great start. That's a great setup.
Is it JB Pritzker? What's his name? The guy out of Illinois, the multi-billionaire that's also like the governor or whatever.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview, I think, with him.
Like I would love to see an old money guy that wasn't a new money fucking, like, he's as slovenly and gross. And I'm not talking about being a bigger man. I'm talking about like in his mannerisms and his flippantness that, yeah, he doesn't exude any of that class and I mean, I would love a Sheila Ford Hamp. Like if she was more of an outgoing personality, like if she had more of that, like, I mean, she's a good woman, but like, I don't think she has the gravitas when she walks in a room that could, like, again, everything that Hillary ever said rang false. So like, no one ever gave her the real, like, everything she always said just dripped of crying, woe is me, or crying foul for her own ends. But like, let's be honest, like the debate back in 2016 and stuff, the fact that he lurched around behind her and different shit like that, like, he knows the game. Like, he's a predator. The dude is a absolute fucking predator. So he's got to have a balls to the wall woman. Like, I don't like a woman that is too ballsy, is like, can exude too much of the toxic masculinity just from a feminine perspective. So you can't have that, but you have to have a, like, someone that's above the fray but not aloof, and you could really just stop that motherfucker in his tracks. Again, I go to a woman because, you know, we have, you know, that's a local woman that I have respect for and has the, you know, pedigree, but also like it's like he really gets pissed at women with power anyway. And then he also quickly, like, if you can flip it on him and like show you have hand, he'll back down. He's not like, he's out there. I mean, you watch the tapes, like you know, it's he can be got, but it can't be by anybody that has a track record. Because, and this is the last thing I'll say, I'm sorry I've monopolized, but the thing that Trump has done most masterfully is nothing to do with the self-promotion, any of that type of thing. It's the absolute final destruction of the Democratic Party as we know it. No one respects that party, and there's not a person in it that people aren't even are at least a little suspect on. Even the leaders, even the ones that have maybe accomplished some things in the past, they've the identity politics, the virtue signaling, the trying to be all things to everybody and being nothing to no one, the lack of experience in the leadership of Obama, and then the just 50-year grifter that finally got his, like, he ran multiple times and couldn't get a sniff. And because he ran anti-Trump, he got elected. Biden was the final kiss of death. I can't even conceive of the Democratic Party winning the next presidency, let alone, I don't even think, no matter what history says about the midterms, I would be very suspect with what the Democrats will be able to do, even with the shenanigans that are presently going on.
As low as Trump's approval rating is right now, the Democrats are even lower right now. And a lot of polls say if Trump ran against, well, all the polls say if Trump ran against Kamala again today, he'd win again. And that is a sad state of affairs. It's got to be somebody. Yes,
she's unelectable, and they're very likely to make her the next senator of California. She is a failed politician at every turn, and now she's going to get another like dream job for life, because basically, with how name recognition and all the bullshit of incumbency works, like, it's second only to the Supreme Court as far as, like, once you're in the Senate, you're in the Senate. And it's awful. Like, that is so bad for our politic, as well as our body politic, as well as the fact that just like it sends such an awful message. I mean, it's where they try to beat you over the head with this meritocracy shit, and it's not. It's going rapidly to nepotism. It's going rapidly to, once you get, you know, no matter what, you got to lie, cheat, and steal to get elected. Once you do, you're entrenched, and you basically don't got to go nowhere until you either run out of time or, you know, whatever. And it's so ass backwards. And there was one guy, and I wish I could give him credit, because he really, it was a great interview. It's a book, something in the along the lines of like the 10 stupidest or worst laws, you know, that could be gotten rid of right now, or something like that. It's kind of like the subtitle and stuff. But it's you know, just the bureaucracy and just the idea of, like, some of this stuff just basically doesn't help anybody. It actually hurts a lot of people. But one of the things, and I don't know if this was in his book or if this was just a comment he made near the end, was like, what would be the best thing to help with all these laws, with any of the changes that we want to see in our nation. and it's representation. I mean, we have not increased the number of, I mean, we don't increase the number of senators, but we have not increased the number of representatives in however long it's been, 100 years or whatever, 100 plus years. Until we do that, we're not being represented. We're not, like, it truly is where, and especially because we have a two-party system, it's about entrenchment, and it's about, like, they did a great piece. I mean, this was 10 years ago and nothing's changed, maybe 15 years ago on like a 60 Minutes, but about the idea that, like, they were pulling freshman senators out of, like, the basically the orientation to go get on the phone and be, basically, whoring for donations. So, like, it's just this machine that runs, and that's all that matters. Like, the election, and that's why huge monies get thrown into specific elections, because it's just holding that seat. It's not those policies. It's not anything like that. And again, I mean, yes, actually very much to beat up on him, as well as all the ones that came before him and after. But, like, it was another thing with, like, the Obama thing where like, he talked this great game about how some of the insider bullshit and, like, some of the, like, access that the people would have under, the manipulations of the Clinton years, like, once they took over, and they had 8 years to make switches to that machine, and they didn't. They basically just, took the things away from the Clintons and entrenched themselves. It's, again, it's the thing that I always get so disgusted with the Trump thing from the first term about the drain the swamp. Bull fucking shit. You let a little water out of the swamp so you could see the fucking prime lily pads, and then you fucking moved your fucking people in there. You did nothing to clean up the fucking swamp. But again, he was so masterful at fucking marketing and fucking branding these fucking people. I mean, again, like, this is not something new. This goes back to, like, the 50s and stuff, but it definitely is very much in the Newt Gingrich, like, 90s playbook of the, these guys aren't wrong. We don't disagree with them. They're not misinformed. They're evil. They're pedophiles. They're fucking baby cannibals. They're fucking, I mean, it's insane shit. And we wonder why, like, it's spun out of control. So, like, I'm fine with fucking having dinners with fucking people, but don't feed me your line of bullshit about it's just, politicking a different way, or, like, fuck you. If you're going to put on that public face, then I'm going to assume that mask is fucking you. And that's what you're fucking judged on. I don't give a fuck. I mean, again, it's so easy. I saw another interview recently where this guy who just, everything pro-Trump and anti-everything else behooves him and his career. So, of course, he and his wife and his daughter are getting fucking rich off this. Trump meets the daughter and spends a few minutes with her and, like, gets down again, like we talked about the Tom Cruise thing. And because he's a larger than life thing, that feels really good or whatever. But the idea that then this guy has Trump on his show and tries to sell him as, you're doing these, I always was a little bit like, man, he's a little rough on that, or he's a little like this, but I saw you and you got down with my kid. Now I'm in the fucking crew. So now you're great. And the way you got down with that kid, and you do it for family, don't you? Let's talk about that. Fuck you. I don't care if the fucking cop on your fucking street fucking grills at the fucking barbecue, get your fucking kid out of a fucking ticket. If he's fucking beating up fucking people, raping fucking prostitutes, hiding fucking evidence, he's a piece of shit. Just because he's good to you doesn't make him fucking good.
Right.
So fuck these fucking people. These fucking Greg Gutfelds and these fucking dipshits on his fucking show.
Yeah, well said. Well, I mean, not all hope is lost. I mean, now, at least with the marketing and everything, as Trump came into power, he was like the only one who can do that. But now we have AI that can do that. We could just create a candidate from scratch. I had AI process all the criteria that you were just talking about what you want in a leader, and this is what it came up with.
I love it.
Oh, they even gave us a campaign slogan: America, fuck yeah.
Nice. I'm down.
That's electable.
I'm down. I'm down. I would not want the gig, but
all right. Well, let's move on. Wanted to get your take on this story. Wait, let me get this sexy motherfucker out of there.
Fuck yeah.
So Rodney Hinton Jr. For those who haven't heard about this story, this is the father whose son was gunned down by police. Still unclear. I mean, there's a lot of dispute over the body cam footage, but the cops say he had a gun and it was pointed at them. The footage that I've seen so far doesn't look like that's the case. We'll see how all that shakes out. But bottom line, next day, the dad, Rodney, sees the body cam footage, leaves, loses his shit, obviously, and drives over this other deputy who was not the guy who shot his son, but just somebody else on their police force, and kills him. And it's just a fucking mess. And, I mean, you know how I feel about policing in America. It's in shambles right now. But, I also, my heart goes out to this guy because, he's probably seen, like we all have, this happens so many times to kids, particularly young black men, but, innocent people in general. And, I feel for the guy. I can see where his head was at. I mean, I don't condone those actions. It wasn't even the cop. It was just a different cop. But kind of the sentiment is this eye for an eye thing. So, anyway, your take, Shavy D.
Yeah, that's just devastating. I mean, it's so... I saw the... there's just so much of it, Toby. I just really... I try not to... because of how my mind works, I really retain a lot of imagery. So I try to, be selective. But, I did, obviously, see the footage of the supposed pointing at the officer that shot. I'm very suspect of that. And again, I fully understand it's a very dangerous job, but you shouldn't be in the job if you can't process that level of fear and heightened whatever awareness and still do things the right way. I've seen too many people getting shot in the back or what, and then claim there's just ultimately the man, you can't take the law into your own hands. And it's really, no matter how, as a father, I might be able to try to commiserate as far as losing your son, the very fact that you couldn't even keep it in check to go after the guy that did it and just took it out on the badge. It says to me, it speaks to his grief and stuff, but I mean, that can't be an excuse. So again, he's going to have to pay the full and full price for this. But it should hopefully one of these, we pray for it all the time to wake up, but it never happened. Police can't just get away with not having any level, the idea that you can just, as an officer, just say I felt threatened and gun down a motherfucker. That's not what the state sanctioned. You are the only person that has the state sanctioned right to kill another citizen. And like, you don't hold that in any kind of real regard. You are like, again, just because you're tired and you're running down some kid, like, you don't get to make those judge, jury, and executioner fucking calls, or then it spins out of and this guy, like, or people like him, like, you know, they've got to pay the price, but I can understand how they take matters into their own hands. And having said all that, literally today, did you hear the Tyree Nichols thing?
No.
The three officers they got acquitted of fucking state charges. Yeah. I mean, that poor kid.
I actually wasn't even thinking about that one, because there's one right here in Grand Rapids today that just was a basically a mistrial, basically a hung jury. So they're gonna have to start that one over, and that's a really weird one too. And I think the fact that it was a hung jury is indicative to some of these are a little bit weird. Some of them are a little hard to make the judgment, and I'm super critical of policing. This one in this case was kind of a tough one, because the guy shouldn't have even been chasing the kid down.
Right.
It was like not even a stolen car. It was just like an improper plate thing. So he should have just let the kid flee, in my opinion.
Yes.
But they got into it, and then at some point the kid got his taser. Okay, so now it gets a little bit different, but you shouldn't have been fucking chasing him down in the first place. It was an improper plate. That's the problem. Yeah. If you're going to be in fear for your life, then where was your fear for your life before you started chasing him? It's just so fucking sticky, and you're right. It's such a easy cop-out, and the qualified immunity, it's just so easy for them to just lean back on it. And then, back to this case with this man's son who was shot, they just very quickly, as they often do, just said the story was that the gun was pointed at them. But, everything you see, it's not. So, right. I don't know. But a point I wanted to make about this is this really concerns me, the way they handled his bond hearing. This show of force with all the cops in there giving him the stink eye and mean mugging him. I think that will historically be a mistake, because sorry. This was already probably going to be open the floodgates of more of this kind of shit happening, unfortunately. This eye for an eye stuff, because they're going to make this father a cult hero kind of thing. But the fact that all those cops were in there trying to intimidate him when he was grieving and, whatever he just did, but for them to do that so theatrically and so, we're the biggest, baddest gang on the street, that is going to get more cops killed. I promise you.
Oh, for sure. Well, you just nailed it. The biggest, baddest gang on the street. I mean, that's their behaviors of late far more are reminiscent of those things than a organized, reasoned police force. That, like, yes, there are bad things and bad people out there, and they have to be dealt with. And sometimes things get sideways, it get ugly, but you are not doing, you are being disingenuous and not living up to that badge or to that standard, and just because they're you and yours, you don't get to rain fire and brimstone, because, like, again, you've been doing things wrong for quite some time. Like, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm just totally naive to the dangers of police. I mean, it's a dangerous job, and it has to be handled the right way. But, like, again, like you referenced the idea of, like, traffic stops or things like that. It's so much, that's where so much of this turns into, like, ego related shit, where you didn't show me the proper level of respect. Well, no, if send tickets, like, we got license plate readers now, we got all this other stuff. I mean, we can actively be changing so much to keep all of those ridiculous interactions, because they teach at the academies that you have to go into every situation assuming you're going to be shot. I mean, it's the posture with which they put these officers in and then give them only basically, I mean, over half of the academy is the shooting range. Like, it's not like we don't train officers the right way. And then when officers do go afoul, there's no like national database. They get rehired. Like the shit, like I just re-looked up the Daniel Shaver thing again. Like, that guy got off because of a bunch of fucking shenanigans that they couldn't admit in court. And then the day no one sees the fucking video, the day the guy gets exonerated, they release the fucking footage, which absolutely shows the guy. Like, they psychologically tortured that fucking guy.
Yeah.
And tricked him into making a false fucking move so they could fucking murder him. There was no danger. There was not a fucking oh my God, watch that fucking video. If
that
anybody
is my example, and for those that have not seen that, look it up on YouTube. Daniel Shaver, it's one of the examples, because we have to hold police more accountable than just calling them racists. The problem is bigger than that.
Yes,
some people think it's racist to say that the problem is bigger than
that. Black cops,
but it's not. Trust me, if we stop cops from killing, they won't kill anybody.
3 black cops today got exonerated for murdering Tyree Nichols, and they absolutely physically tortured him while they were killing him. That was a fucking squad of, like, they were trying to get at a legitimate problem, drag racing on the streets, whatever. You see the video, like, they pull him over instantly. They yank him out of the car. There's like 6 guys. One's got a leg, one's got an arm, a guy's got a taser pushing into his thigh. The kid gets up, makes the mistake of his fucking short to be lived life, and runs. Absolutely, I would never fucking condone running from the fucking cops. But I mean, when you watch that video, it appears like it's a fucking shakedown. Like, if they weren't, I mean, they were in unmarked fucking cars running up on this guy. So when all of a sudden the lights, again, the fact that they had to bring in an all-white fucking jury from a different county to exonerate, like, again, it's not about race. It's not about race. It's about fucking power and fucking suppression and oppression. But these motherfuckers fucking chase him down, fucking beat him, like, spray his face full of fucking mace. He's down on the ground, giving himself up, and they're pulling him up. They got fucking special training by the fucking military, by the fucking police in fucking Israel. This is all fucking documented. They grab him up by the belt. The guy's about my fucking size. These 3 fucking, one of them was a bouncer a couple fucking months prior to fucking becoming a cop for the special fucking task force. They fucking hold him up and jump around so you can't really see, because only one guy's got his fucking cam on. Thank God the fucking the cam up by the fucking street light was on, or we wouldn't even have fucking seen this. They fucking jump around with him, act so it looks like he's fucking this guy's fucking knocked out cold at this fucking point. He does just to fucking beat him. Guys on the outside fucking wrapping him on the fucking head with a fucking stick. They fucking work him into a fucking, he cries for his mother because he's literally like 2 houses down from his fucking home as they're beating him to fucking death. He cries out for his mama, not in the fucking George Foreman or George Floyd thing with where he's kind of delusional. There's a chance she could have heard his ass fucking dying. They fucking get done with his ass. His face is so swollen. He's fucking, probably died from the chemicals of all that. They were just fucking pouring that fucking mace in his face. They picked him up to beat him more and more and more. Threw him off against the fucking car, and we're like slapping fucking hand. Like, one's calling his girlfriend to fucking tell her like I'm gonna fucking, I'll be home tonight. Like that kind of and one guy, you see it in his fucking eyes. You see it in his fucking eyes in the video, and he gets that shit like, oh, fuck, man, that guy was coming after, like, and it goes instantly into that. Like, oh man, that guy, man, he was pretty close when he came right by my car. I thought he was gonna hit me, like justifying, like somehow this guy was the bad guy and did something to them that deserved getting beat to fucking death. Are you fucking kidding me? And they're done. They're I don't know what's going to happen with the civil court. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to face federal charges, and hopefully they go down for that. But like, oh my word! And that I'm sure that fucking squad, that goon squad or whatever they're fucking calling it, is still fucking active. You know, it's so not about fucking race. They they put a woman in power here, a fucking minority in power there, or what? Like, again, it's not. It always
It's thinking that they can exert their will on the public. They just forget sometimes, and I don't even want to go down the bullshit about saying not all of them or whatever, because I condemn them as a group, because I haven't seen a lot of them stepping up and saying, yeah, we have a big problem.
No, and they made it harder. They made it a lot harder when these decisions come down, because if there are even some good ones in there, let's just assume that there are, like, these are the bad apples. When you institutionally let these people off with no repercussions, even the ones that were kind of quietly like, fuck, I'm going to get fucking one in the back of my head going into a fucking crime scene if I speak up. But they're hoping, okay, well, the system will at least take care of these motherfuckers, and then they get off. Like, even the good ones have no recourse. So, yeah, I'm willing to say it's the majority, not the fucking minority.
So here's how you know. I'll tell you how you know without knowing. So if you go on TikTok, depending on your algorithm, for me, it's pretty much right away, you'll start getting these videos of cops being shitty cops out there. Making things personal, asking for... Now, and to be totally fair, I'm not really in favor of the trolls that go out there to try to get video of cops. It's almost like trying to entrap the cops into being douchebags.
By that as well.
I don't love that. However, it's all over the internet. There's very, very hard to watch evidence all over the internet all day long of cops doing that. There's no evidence, or at least I'm sure there is somewhere, but there's not really videos popping up of other cops stepping in and saying, hey, that's not cool. Right. There's videos of call your supervisor, and the supervisor getting there and after a while reluctantly being like, oh yeah, this guy's right. Just let him go. There's a lot of that, but you never see the ones of the cop pulling the other cop off of the guy and all that shit. Where is it? Where are the good ones?
Right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
We have this,
it's very easy.
I don't know if you've seen on HBO Max that All Access PD this season is a Grand Rapids. It's like the Grand Rapids Police Department, that it's like they're behind the scenes or whatever. And it's been pretty good so far, but it pisses me off because, like, the intro, the little monologue at the beginning is the newish police chief saying, yeah, Grand Rapids has had one of the worst reputations of any police department, but I'm here to change that. And, no one's ever had more access to a police department than what we're giving you here. But it's basically just PR. They haven't shown anything, anything that if you want the real thing, it's out there being filmed by people on their phones. They're doing it every day.
Well, and I'm super anti anything cops. Like, that cops is a giant factor in the propagandizing of the police. Like, I don't have anything inherently against the police. Like, I understand that it's a necessary component of maintaining a society where there's a lot of different people and a lot of different competing interests, if you will. But because of the power and because of the different things, they have to be held to the highest of standards. And it's shows like Cops and different things like that, it made it seem so much like they were always in the right. The person was always in the wrong, not taking into account any of the stuff that led up to it per se. And it was always stuff that was like, you know, even other cops would watch and see, like, so of course it's always the chases or always the little bit of the pushback or whatever. So, like, you know, let's say 70% of interactions, if you gave a little bit of fucking respect to a citizen that expected a little respect and deserved it, everything would go smooth. But the fact is you have, I think, far more the police convinced themselves of the danger of the rest of society long before society started to get more dangerous because of the cops. You know, the cops have always been, you know, there have been systematic pockets where there have been over policing, usually to do with poverty, sometimes to do with race or other factors. But as cities grew and the budgets and the power of the police forces grew, real accountability somewhere broke down somewhere along the way. And until that can be fixed, we're going to spin out of control. Because again, we've talked about this at other times. We live in more and more in a world where people are convinced by any means necessary. And that's, like, again, if I keep seeing things, like, don't get me wrong, as bad as I, you know, again, my heart goes out to a father that lost a son. Like, you can't be, like, you shouldn't even kill the other officer that did it, let alone just some random officer. So I'm not like that's never right. That's never, you know, whatever acceptable. But like
it's shocking how many people are defending it.
The impunity with which police act will only grow and spin further out of control if we don't hold them to account as well. Like, we can do both. We can do absolutely both. And this is the last thing I'll say on this, but it kind of goes to, this kind of sums it up, the use of force thing with the societal shift, the idea of the stand your ground law. Like, all the way up until that law, like, there was a, you know, you could like, even when you were licensed, you were carrying heat, you come into an altercation, like, you have always had the right to defend yourself. Now, you may have to have some level of explanation for why you pulled on that guy or that gal or whatever, that situation. But, you know, if you were truly threatened, there's whole legal recourse for that. But there was a I don't know how the specific legality of it, but there was a reasonable expectation that you would try to extricate yourself from the situation before throwing down. Like, you don't need to kill somebody over standing your ground. Well, when they change that law, now you literally, like, someone comes at you and just is real mean, real aggressive, but doesn't touch you, doesn't, like, you have no legal or moral, no longer with this law, at least moral expectation that you will try to stop yourself or you will try to remove yourself or you know, take the high road in this situation. You can throw down on that motherfucker. Well, that's the citizens. I mean, that's prevalent in more and more states. So, like, as we spin out of control in that regard, if I'm a cop, I probably am a little more genuinely scared. But again, you're the father of that creation, because you know, guns are up as much because they're seeing violence increase as they are genuine fear of crime. And violence increasing is not just crime, it is policing as well. And there's, like, again, we can't have a fucking nuanced conversation about fucking anything. But, you know, at the end of the day, like if it is truly stand my ground, if I hear somebody busting in my back fucking patio, I mean, they better be fucking blaring a fucking alarm and screaming fucking cop, 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 or I'm fucking shooting first. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily would, to be honest with you, because I'm far more measured than that. But I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of environment that you facilitate when it's all about this. It's the shoot first, ask questions later thing, and our police have to be held to a higher, regard than that. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
insane.
Well, anything else for this week, JVD? Anything else on your mind?
Well, I'd love to get your take on just the sad. Like, I'm just really saddened by the Zuckerberg announcement with the whole like AI friends thing.
Yeah. What's up
Is
with
that where we're
that?
going? Is that where we're
Well,
going?
I mean, I think that's a
Worries the fuck
that
out of me.
whole announcement, as usual with Zuck, was kind of telling of what he thinks of humanity.
Right? Yes.
And I don't think that he holds us in a very high regard. I mean, because it is kind of sad. Because I don't think. So essentially, if you didn't listen to that or read anything about it, he's basically claiming, correct me if I'm wrong, that Meta AI is really leaning into the idea of a future where no one is friendless because they have these AI agents that are their friends. Can you fill in the blanks while I try to not choke here?
Yeah. Well, like I didn't see the whole interview, but the first couple seconds is what it just so struck my, captured my attention. That's why I brought it up. He basically says that the current understanding of the statistics is that most people have 3 or less friends today.
Correct.
And to be, and he even like that was funny. That was why I laughed when you said about like him, Zuckerberging it, or like how he tries to communicate like a real boy. Like he was saying when he was even talking about how like it's more healthy to have like a circle of maybe more around 15. Like even the way he tried to convey that is like it's foreign to him. Like, I mean, he just recently got the tan, the longer hair, started MMA wrestling. Like this guy has desperately sought friendship for his entire life. And
he's so thirsty.
Oh my word. But like, yeah,
Going
I'm
on
so
Joe Rogan trying
that.
to pretend he's a bow hunter all of a sudden.
Is he?
It's so uncomfortable.
Oh my word.
Like Joe asked him like one question. He's like, "What kind of bow do you use?" And he was like, just went into meltdown. It's been a while. I didn't really get out much this year, and he just didn't. He just so wants to be accepted as a human being.
Yes. Oh, they all. Oh, Toby.
The sad part about it is, like, you are the CEO of Meta, which owns the largest social networks in the world. If anybody in this world has the ability to actually help those folks find real human connection, you probably are the guy.
Right.
So maybe find some people that understand what friendship is and develop some way to let Facebook and Instagram not be this giant place where we fight with each other or try to fuck each other, and try to reach out to people who actually could use a friend. Boom. Wait, where's my thing? I'm throwing it back up here. But
there you go. Yes, I mean, I think that it's again, I will always go back to the just outrage of move fast and break things. Like you moved fast on things you had no idea what the repercussions were, and you have broke things that you may have been cutesy trying to talk about replacement, but you have destroyed some of the foundation and underpinnings of what would have allowed some of your stuff to to really continue. I think that it's the I have a very distinct idea of how to promote community in the physical world. And I think that the last thing, like, and I don't want to give it away because I would love to one day actually implement it and see what it could be. But I will just, as a somewhat, broad description, if some of these giant players, especially like, say, a Facebook, could take some of that enormous wealth and not just, go back in and look at the algorithms, look at the way business is done to better facilitate a more, it doesn't even have to be altruistic, but make it a little more like utilitarian and less like where it's emotionally guided. But deal with the product there. And then, the one part that I thought was so much of what is kind of almost despicable about the ascension of these tech giants is that it was on speculation, and they were allowed then to cash in on these monies that they really didn't like. The valuations on these companies are, to this day, are not like, they're more in line because of the purchasing that's been done since they had those monies to do things with. But I mean, again, we made these men uber rich on a song and a fucking dance. But ultimately, we're some of the, you as a salesperson or as a marketer, like, you understand the idea that, part of it was also selling that idea, that brand. And where I think that they were on the money, I don't think it should have been these, beta male fucking dweebs that just all of a sudden had money and power and were acting like all the assholes that they were supposedly replacing. I'm still disgusted by them, but the environment with which they created those creative spaces, I would love to see that more democratized, not only for, women, minority, whatever the great American melting pot aspect of community is, but like like almost like little incubators and little things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea of Facebook getting so ridiculously wealthy on a handful of like-minded dudes fucking over the rest of the world. Yeah. Let's take those spaces, those, skating around at the different, to grab a coffee, then go back to the workstation. Like, let's have that. Let's offer some of that physical utopian, flavor to the people that would really appreciate it and could really maybe do some things with it.
They have that. We have a really good one here in Grand Rapids. It's a good like business incubator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a great. They have some really good private ones, here and there. I'm just saying, like, it kind of goes back to my constant bitch about the fact that the people with the most wealth now do the least for society. And there should be so many things that, like, if they're not going to do public works, if they're going to not care about the arts or the, whatever, at least truly lean into the sciences then really say, okay, like, the community center of old is now the place where you can go and get any of the technologies that you want to mess with, play with, develop. Like, it's, I mean, we can monetize while still bettering the world. And I don't, I'm a believer in that. I don't think, I think
I agree with that.
Crony capitalism is what was so wrong and what so many people are so disgusted by and wanted to move away from. But this Trump version is not right either. It's not true capital. Like capitalism works, but it has to be. It's not unchecked. Like the falsehood of like the markets ultimately regulate. They can be propped up. They can be winners and losers can be chosen. Like that's a falsehood. So like if we believe in democracy and we believe in capitalism, which I do, let's lean into them as they are intended to be, not as talking points that then you manipulate to your own standards. So anyway, but to come back full circle on the real boy, I just don't. No matter how in tune an AI is with you and your needs and can genuinely be an agent for positive change and development in your life, it can never fucking hug you. And maybe more importantly, it can never tell you, fuck you, you're wrong, you crazy bastard. Come here, let me hug you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
So.
Yeah. It's going to be a problem because people will try to replace people, and I think it's going to lead ultimately to more loneliness. But because I don't think that, the thing they talk about, the uncanny valley, as far as like, if something's supposed to look human but it's just like slightly off, your brain just can't. Your brain knows.
I hate it.
No matter how real a robot looks, somehow your brain knows. I think that that's true emotionally. I think if they got an AI that was dialed in like so perfectly and could in a way almost hug you and could tell you you're wrong, because you can already ask it to give you more pushback and stuff, so that's only a few steps away from it. You could program it to be an asshole to you all the time if you wanted to.
That's what I want. I want mine to be super skeptical.
Yeah, so it actually has all that, but I think it's us. I think we're hardwired where you're always going to know, no matter how much it tries to fake you out. Deep down, you'll know that that's not a real person. So how will it heal loneliness in that way? Because everybody's going to know it's a fake.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the more insidious thing for like tripping people up is the idea that like all the bots that, present themselves as real, whether it's just for something simple like customer service or different things like that. I think that's a breaking down of that wall that we definitely don't want. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing like old, when they find old sculptures from the Greek or Roman period that are still painted, like that's just it weirds me out to the point of like, let alone some of the robots of late that are now like just close enough where it's I would want the practicality of the way we've built our world is a humanoid robot would be on the mark, but only in shape. I want I don't want a face. I don't want yes. I mean, I want a distinct delineation between myself and whatever,
Yeah, I don't mind the chat, like the audio chat feature with Chat GPT, because when I'm driving, it lets me work. It lets me do a lot of my thinking kind of work in the process, and then simultaneously saves it all. So it's like instant, in real time logging it as well. But it is a little creepy sometimes because it picks up on tone of voice and everything too, like the way you say things. It responds accordingly. If I sneeze in the middle of something that I'm saying, it acknowledges that.
It'll say bless you? Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've not delved in that deeply to it. I mean, I've per your encouragement, I've been on there like asking a few like business questions and a few like I'm preparing for a certification exam, and I was asking like best ways to approach that, things like that. But but yes, I'm actually I'm right on the precipice of really jumping into the whole, like even when I initially engage with it, saying, this is what I have expectation, and let's build to this. And, I want to see what I can make the agent do. But
Yeah.
by my very nature, I'm an incredibly skeptical and, okay, where's the charge? Where's the rub? Where's the negative aspect of this great and wonderful thing? By my very nature, I tend to that. So I feel like I'm relatively guarded, but I'm excited about the technology. Again, I worry about maybe intellectually challenged, but specifically the emotionally challenged that would, again, I think we talked about this before, but like when you really, like when you are, the more alone you are, the more you genuinely attach emotion to the characters that are in your life, whether it's someone in a book, a television show, whatever, and you really attach real emotion, even deeper than you would real emotion. Because in a real relationship, maybe you would know to wait for a response, whatever. Like you think that anyway. So the idea that somehow AI could, like it has already happened, encourage suicide or different things like that. Like when you have when your will is broken, there's almost nothing that you can't be manipulated to do. And I don't know how you can safeguard against that. So
Yeah.
it's
I think that's a good note to go out on, and let's be thankful that Linda McMahon is only going to coach the kids up on A1
oh,
instead of
thank goodness.
AI.
They
So
yeah.
all us grown-ups will have a little head start.
We got a little time.
Yeah. Kids will be working on steak sauce.
Oh, good Lord. If it
All right, well,
wasn't
good
happening,
chatting with your brother, and
I wouldn't believe it if it wasn't happening, Toby. Before our
all
very
right,
eyes.
thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week, and we'll be pissed about some more stuff. Peace.
Excellent. Peace.